right, so let's jump right into, I saw on News Nation, it looks like Chris Watts is saying that God has forgiven him in prison, and there's letters, and the prison pen pal is telling him this. Let me say hi to everybody in chat too, really quick. I see people are coming in. Hi, Kelly. Hi, Drew K. I don't know how to say this. I think it's the Fifers. So I'm going to guess. Hi, Fifers. Hi, everybody hanging out in the outer regions. Today we're coming to you on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. Be sure to show us love on the platform that you're viewing us on. Just, it's a free way to help us out, and it's really appreciated. So what do you think about Chris Watts saying that God has forgiven him and he's got prison pen pal letters to prove it? Do you think it's Lizzy Lee? I actually haven't watched all of this yet, so let's watch this together. So how we do this is everything that we watch, I will put down in the YouTube show notes. We do this to cite our sources and for fair play use, and I'll often talk over it or stop and start it. And so if you want to watch it, it's in its entirety, or read anything in its entirety, you can find the stuff there.
In his prison letters to his twisted fans, he writes, and let me quote him, God has forgiven me. God has separated me from my sin as far as the east is from the west. The hard part, he says, was forgiving himself. But there's good news on that front, too.
Okay, I'm going to call shenanigans on that, because I feel like he forgave himself from the moment he did it. You know, he quickly found, sorry, I'm very opinionated about this today too. He found God quickly, didn't he? He just, like, as soon as he got into prison or jail, he found that jail, what is it? I think it's called jail religion. And he found it quick. And jail religion is something, because I used to go into the jails. I don't know if you guys know this, but I'm an ex-social worker, and I was working for my CAC, and part of it was going into jails, and I was an intake worker too. So I would go in and do intakes, and the jail religion is something. It's kind of like, it's like kind of Pentecostal, but not. It's just like kind of that kind of intensity, and maybe but I don't want to put down Pentecostal, because it's not even that, but it's very intense.
Because Watts writes, I am finally at peace. Good for you. Joined now by the reporter who obtained these gems exclusively. Steve Helling is the U.S. senior reporter for the Daily Mail. You always get the goods, my friend. It's just so cringe, isn't it, reading his words?
I mean, we've read his words before, and he doesn't change his tune. It's just always just a little bit different than the last time, but it's the same song. You know, God has forgiven me. I've forgiven myself. It's not my fault. The girl made me do it. You know, there's always something.
It's similar. I wonder if, because you know how we like to watch a lot of prison stuff over here on the Power Network, and a lot of the people that have gone to prison, or even Cowboy RC has said that, you know, they're going to make him keep his story alive, because this is how he gets paid, and he's probably having to pay people off and, you know, stuff like that. And I wonder if this is just another way that he's keeping himself paid and in the news.
Thing that he likes to say.
Yeah, he loves to suggest that he's in good standing. Let me read some of the Bible verse that he uses to justify his thinking. He says this, I am a new man. I am not the person who committed those horrible acts. 2 Corinthians 5:17 says, if any man be in, he is a new creature. Old things are passed away. Behold, all things are become new. That's me. I'm a new creature. I'll agree with him there. He is a creature. Your thoughts about just the...
That makes me want to throw up. I am a new man. let me take off. I am a new man. I am not the person who committed those horrible acts. Says if any man be a Christ, he is a new creature. Old things are passed away. Behold, all things are become anew. That's me. I'm a new creature. God, he's a creature, all right. He's a monster. And oh, I just have a real problem with this. And I know like, I don't follow the Christian faith, but I believe like there's roads that get you to God, and it's one of those people use Christianity as one of those roads. And I like to believe that I just think Chris Watts is done for this life. I don't think he can redeem himself. I just think, I don't know. Maybe I'm just done with Chris Watts, and I don't know. I can't see how he can do anything beautiful in this world, especially by these coming. It's too soon. It's too soon to come out with this stuff. If you're going to come out with this, you need to do all this good stuff and not say anything about it in the hopes that it gets recognized. And then maybe 50 years down the road, come out with this. It's just too soon for me. Am I alone? Let me pop over into chat. Let's see what you guys are saying. He's crazy. Yes, he's crazy. Amy Power, do you really think that CW forgave himself? I personally think CW blames others. I would love for him to have another lie detector test. Yeah, that would be nice to see if CW was under the influence when LE did test. Oh, yeah, that's a good point, Moira. He probably was. I mean, I know people are like, oh, he never tested positive, but did they test him? I don't think they tested him. I never saw anything out there that said that he was tested. And I don't think they test you at booking. I just don't. So he has to redeem himself kneeling at the feet of his maker. I don't see how he's redeeming him. Yeah, he's just trying to, I don't know. Yeah, I started early, Kim. I was ready to go, and I hate just sitting looking at the screen. When I'm ready, I'm ready. I get really bad anxiety. So I figured out that this is why I hate when people are late, because I get really bad anxiety waiting for things to start or happen. So just like when people, nobody was late, by the way, but I figured out why, because that's one of my pet peeves is when people are late, and I try very hard not to be late. Because I get anxiety about things. And so I it was like a little light bulb moment for me. Aha, this is why I can't stand people being late. It's me. It's my anxiety. So then I sit there in extra anxiety because really I've been anxious about it, waiting for it to happen for probably 5-6 hours. And if it's really big, it's been a few days. So, and then to wait extra time is just too much for me sometimes. So anyway, that sent me on a tangent, but I've been really sick, so I haven't really spoken to anybody in a few days. So I get extra chatty when I haven't spoken to anyone in a few days too. You're almost caught up. Okay. Kim found something really interesting today, you guys. Kim, do you mind if I share with them? I'm not going to, I won't say exactly, but she was listening to a Watts content creator. And she was like, wow, this script sounds really familiar to me. And then another video sounded familiar. And this person has been taking other Watts content creators' videos and taking it, basically the video audio, and turning it into AI sound. So it's the same exact script, and then replacing the pictures, the video portion of it, and then using it as their own. So that's something that I guess we have to be on the lookout for, which is like insane to me. I think like fair play use is out there. You can use other people's content, but just add to it. You don't steal their entire video and replace the the picture portion of it and then use AI over it to the same exact script. It's just crazy. But anyway, we've been talking about that just before we went live. So getting back here to Chris, he's found God and he's a new creature. Did you guys know that? Chris is a new creature. We should try to come up with the new creature he is.
It's about just the this, I don't know, profuse baloney when it comes to how God loves him.
Well, it's really a perversion of scripture, if you really want to get down to it. Yes, the Bible says that, but it doesn't mean that you don't suffer the consequences of what you did while you're here on earth. It doesn't mean that you're somehow innocent. That's not what it means. Sure, if he's sorry about it, great. But, you know, what he's trying to say is that basically God has forgiven me. I've forgiven myself. Everything's hunky-dory. And that's just not how the world works.
Right. Here's another quote that you got from his letters in April.
Kind of like Gypsy Rose-ish. It's like, well, I did my time. I owe you nothing. You know, I'm done. And it's kind of like what he's saying, you know, God forgives me. So you need to forgive me too.
He said, and this is rich, I have always taken full responsibility for what I did, even though I was misled by a wicked woman. And he's,
how is this full responsibility? There's the but here at the end. This is not full responsibility, my friend. It's not.
Referring to Nicole Kessinger, the woman he was having an affair with, who, as I recall, had no idea he was married, but saw the headlines that this guy she's dating has a family who's suddenly missing, and she went right to the police.
Right, exactly. And, you know, he pulls, it's kind of like the Adam and Eve defense. Like when, you know, he's like, it was the woman, she's the one who did it. Which, you know, at one point he had even blamed Shanann for killing the girls, and then he killed her in retaliation. His story changes all the time.
Well, that story was spoon-fed to him by the detective. So of course he did that. Of course he did that.
But it's
that's the one that his parents believe to this day, sadly.
Really interesting that it's always somebody else's fault, and that somebody else is always a woman. That's what it seems to be.
I think he's right where he needs to be, but you know, Steve Helling, you and I should just look straight into the camera and tell all the ladies out there, if you think you're having an exclusive relationship with your pen pal, Chris Watts, he's cheating on you like he cheated on his wife. And God, thank the Lord that he is locked up and that you are not.
He's got a new fiance who will hunt you down. Her and her supposedly, reportedly, this is all allegedly, this is, you know, my opinion, my research, and we urge you to go out there and do your own and form your own opinion, because you can all have different opinions and still be welcome here. But reportedly he's got a new fiance out there with a mother that will get you booted off of Reddit if you say the wrong thing. So don't go over to Reddit and misbehave, because Lizzy Lee will come for you.
At least going to hopefully
actually
suffer what she did. Hey, Steve Helling, good to have you. Great reporting as always. Thank you for this.
Okay, so
good to be here. Thank you.
Continuing on with that, I see over here that Amber on Amber Truth Seeker News has something new out about Chris Watts's new letter to female pen pals. So I thought we would take a look at that. I don't think we've ever, which is strange because I've heard of her before, but I don't think we've ever watched any of her content. So this will be something new for us. Again, I'll put the links for everything in the description in the YouTube description for you to watch. Has anyone watched Amber? I know that she's friends with Alex Erickson, and I like Alex a lot. So I have a feeling that this is going to be good.
Reported this week as well, just in relation to the Chris Watts case. Again, this is just my third live stream being back, my first one without panel guests. So yeah, just hit that like button, and we're trying to get back into the swing of things. So we've got some stuff planned, just always digging into the Watts case, of course, but we are also digging into the Idaho 4 Brian Kohberger files. I want to go through the Karen Reed.
A lot of us Watts people are doing the Idaho. Seems to go hand in hand. I've seen a lot of Watts people covering Idaho too.
Right on the day of the anniversary, so the 13th this month. When his pregnant wife and
okay, we have actually this. We're gonna. I have this already queued up, so let's go forward and see if she's got anything else.
Were to go ahead. What an absolute.
Everybody was at Survey, but I think that she said that Chris told her where they were, but it's his word against her word.
Let me take it back to the start of when this photo comes up, and we'll watch it from there.
A shallow, basic dork, definitely. No empathy. Yeah, he just kind of mimicked. The whole Watts case was so poorly run, and things seem so shady to this day, including NK. That's very sad, is I feel we are seeing it all over again with those 4 angels in Idaho. I agree, Janessa. Like,
I know. I wish that we could find out what happened at the Survey. Oh, wait, I think this is the wrong one that I was going to pop up. But yeah, the whole Watts case was so poorly run, and things seem so shady to this day, including NK. What's very sad is I feel we are seeing it all over again with those 4 angels in Idaho. Is it the dad that they just found bones for?
I tried to have the conversation with chat and with the panel guests on over the weekend about Idaho 4, and all I kept thinking was like, this is the same thing that they did in the Watts case. Like, the Watts case was there were strings being pulled by.
Oh, you mean that they're doing weird stuff. You know what I think the problem with I didn't want to start talking about the Idaho 4 case, but I will. I think the problem with the Idaho 4 case is that our justice system is very flawed, and there's shady cops in every department, and so they pull these shady routine things, and they're just not getting away with it anymore because the internet's on top of it. And some of them like the armchair detectives, some don't. And I think that they were pulling a lot of their shady shit in the Idaho 4 behind the scenes. But I think ultimately Brian Kohberger is the one who did it, which makes it suck even more, because then it gives these conspiracy channels that are trying to prove that he didn't do it and that poor little Bri is innocent. I mean, you know what I mean? Does anyone get where I'm coming? Like, it drives me crazy. But I mean, I guess I was telling this lady the other day, I feel like the world, like, it's kind of like when you clean a room, everything gets messier before it gets cleaner. And I feel like that's what's happening with the world. Like, everything's just getting really messy before we just have to, figure it out and organize it. It's going to get to a point where we're going to have to figure it out.
Powerful entities in the Watts case. In my opinion, the oil company, I believe we even traced it all down.
What happened is these big companies own everything, and they've got their little greedy hands in everything, in every aspects of our lives, and our education, and our pharmaceuticals, and our justice. They are in everywhere, and they are buying everything off, and they have been programmed. And I hate to be a conspiracy theorist, but I've been saying this I've been talking about conspiracies for a long time, and a lot of these conspiracies are becoming like commonly known now. Like, yes, it's happening, and it's just like, you've got to find a balance. You can't go over into like the total cray part of conspiracies, but some of these aren't so conspiracy anymore. And also, conspiracies aren't necessarily like, some things are debates, some things are just debates, and people are now calling them conspiracies, and they're two different things. You guys, I'm telling you all the stuff that I've been laying here thinking about when I have my flares, and it's just all piling out.
Like they were donating. There's like exchangements of like relations between the district attorney's office and the oil company. And I bet you we could find that in the Idaho 4 case.
Yes.
You know, it's like these powerful entities, if they're involved
in the Idaho
big
case, it would be the educational, the college. So
cases or crimes, like they have the power, just follow the money. Like I think we're all pretty intelligent at this point to know.
And that's what I think when I think about politics now. I'm just so fed up with politics because they've created a world where they have done Democrats versus Republicans, when what it really should be is us, the regular Joe Schmoes, against the elite. That's what it really is. But they've created a war between us little ones down here, and the people are fighting it tooth and nail while the people up there are just like plotting their next moves.
For example, where I grew up, like there's this mall, and it's like they spent all this money into building this mall, and there's a lot of crime that occurs there, but the local media keeps it hush hush because they want, people to shop there. They want money. Mm-hmm. So when this happened with the oil industry, they didn't want this going to trial.
Oh, Valerie.
And same with Idaho 4, the two universities. Some of these Coburger working for one of them. Like they don't want their names dragged through a trial. Like, no, shut it down with a plea deal. And we'll redact everything we need to redact. And we'll make sure that they follow this one narrative. And that's what we're always going to perpetuate over and over. 7 years we've seen it in the Watts case. They perpetuate the same thing. Nicole didn't know she was or that she was pregnant, even though we know she's looking up her Facebook. It was blatantly public that Shanann was pregnant during the times that we know that she was looking up Shanann. Yeah, it just comes down from the very top where the money is. Exactly. And the district attorneys who don't have the spines to say to these defendants, you need to give us, what the motive, like explain to us what you did so that we can match your account to the evidence that we know.
Yeah.
Like why they did that.
Give us a reason not to give you the death penalty other than I did it. Give us more.
In the Watts case, months after the plea deal was signed, is bizarre. It's bizarre. Yes, Tiny Ghost. Nicole was stalking her Facebook. And I had some comment the other day. Looking up somebody one time on the internet is not stalking. And I said, it's cyber stalking. And I said, do you know that Nicole Kessinger looked her up more than once? She looked her up twice before she ever even worked with Chris.
And that's just what we got. We know that they erased a lot of stuff. So that's just the two that they found. There was more. There was more. When there was smoke, there was fire.
And
I believe that she was part of the Thanksgiving deal where, somebody was making dirty faces. I think she was starting to go into Shanann's live streams and had been in her live streams for a while.
Looked up Chris a whole year before the crimes. Then she looked up Shanann twice before ever working with Chris. And then she looked her up the night that they had their little love-making session. Remember when she was searching 3 ways in preparation for, know.
It is. But somehow our little Nikki Pooh walked on water with the police. She just could do no wrong. And everything she said, they bought.
She looked her up that night, and then as soon as the case broke, she was looking up Shanann's Facebook and news articles. I mean, and you know what else I love too? People who try to defend Nicole Kessinger's phone pinging in Frederick that morning. Okay, she never made those phone calls where she pinged in the morning in Frederick. And people who say, oh, she was driving. That's one of the routes on the way to work. First off, that is not the direct route to get from her apartment to Anadarko. Second off, we have no history of her ever pinging in Frederick in the morning before. Thirdly,
I mean, what an amazing coincidence was it that the night or morning that Shanann, a pregnant woman, and her 2 children are unalived by somebody's boyfriend who you've been having a hot, intense affair with, and you take that route. I mean, that's just one of the coincidences, the quinkydinks in this whole case. So that's just one.
You say the argument of, well, I just think that maybe she was going to drive by the house to see if Chris was going to tell her that things were over between them. And so I think that Nicole pinged in Frederick that morning because she was just seeing, you know, if Shanann had gotten home, if they were really going to get, if the house was really putting up for sale. Doesn't matter, like, the reason why you think she drove by the house, like, that's still concerning. She's an outlier to this family. That's not an argument to paint Nicole Kessinger as more innocent in all this. Oh, she just wanted to drive by and see if they were really putting the house up for sale, and if that she was really, if he was really going to tell her that things were done. Like, no, even if that's true, like, that's crazy sounding. And for it to happen, she got home at 1:48 in the morning. The ping happened at 6 in the morning. It wasn't even like it happened later in the day. Like, that's for her to be, and mind you, we don't have a clock.
And there was all that weird stuff about the clocking in, coming in set, calling in sick, you know, going home sick. It's just, yeah.
Time. So show me that she clocks in around 7:30 or however many.
That woman was a creature of habit. I guarantee you she was a creature of habit. And then all of a sudden, all this weirdness on that day, morning, and thereafter.
Minutes it takes for her to get to her apartment in Anadarko. You can't.
It's exhausting.
Yeah, NK knew what's up. She knew everything. She knew everything, and yet she still pursued it. I just think there's so much more to all this. Yeah, the realtors are going to come at 5 a.m. Yeah, they're going to put the sign in the in the yard that early. It's just, it's not good. It's not a good look. Like, no matter what excuse you try to make, it doesn't look good. Oh, she was driving that way to her job in the morning. We don't have her clock in time. We don't even have her attempting to lie about it clock in time. Like, she attempted to lie in other things, like how many times she'd been in Shanann's car, how many times she'd been to the residence. There were other things she tried to lie about and then, like, changed her statements on in later interviews. But she never changed. She never tried to present like a clock in time or any mention of when she got to work. Yeah, it's just, another coincidence.
Yeah, that wasn't no record of that. When in any other crime, they would want to know where the mistress was. They would want to know minute by minute what. Yeah, and all these, like, this weirdness on the morning of is just like, wow.
Yeah.
Pick me up off the floor.